I'm trying to think of his name. He played. I'll think of it in a second. Redford and Newman, and my heavens, he played that Western detective. Oh my God! Oh, isn't that terrible? See, I remember some things from 50 years ago. Like I can remember a line I did at a movie where I was supposed to go to Scotland or to Norway, and it was called "Vi lette out Minte Vernutis." We looked everywhere, but we couldn't find him. It was some island at the top of the world. That was 50 years ago. I remember that, and I can't remember the actor that didn't take the role because they thought Newman and Redford would outshine him. So what happened is when they came around to Robert Shaw, who was not only a great actor and a great director and a great playwright, but a great negotiator as well.
Amazing.
And that's the business side of show business. He got everything that Newman got. Points, size of billing, everything down the road. It was a wonderful experience, though.
That sounds amazing, too. And, of course, a little bit of comedy as well, too. You were in Happy Days for a little bit. So sounds like you had fun with Ron Howard and Henry Winkler and Company. You can just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Happy Days, big guys are bad guys, but they also could be dummies. And the one show that I did, I was a bouncer at a strip club. I guess Fonzie was going to try to marry one of the strippers. It was kind of a funny thing. Anyway, the other two guys were trying to get in, and they hand me their ID, and I say, hey, wait a minute, let me look at this. And then I say, well, quick, tell me, when were you born? And he said, I don't know, 52. I said, oh, I guess that's close enough. And I give him his phony driver's license, and he gets in. Now, the fun thing about that, the side story to that, is the other actor that was with me had one line. I had three, but he had one line, and it took him 17 takes to get it right.
Oh, my goodness.
So sometimes you have to be ready, In other words, you can want it, you can love it, you can think you're ready, but you've got to train, you've got to get the discipline, you've got to get the control of yourself and your emotions, so that when the red light goes on backstage, or when the director says action, you can perform, because you don't get that many chances to screw up. You screw up one time, you're pretty much done. So anybody that's going to go out there or come out here and fight the good battle, and by the way, those who want to be in the industry, no one can dissuade them. Now, no matter what I say about how tough it is, they're going to go and try no matter what. But train. Get some training, get some studies, improve your voice, work on your memory, because you're going to need those things under the pressure. And that's where the good guys and the great actors really make their breakthrough. Otherwise, you're going to get weeded out. You're just not going to get there.
That is amazing, too. We'll get to another classic, iconic TV show in just a minute. You listen to Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine with the Senior Reserve Group. When you start thinking about retirement, who are you going to call about Medicare? Why call the best? Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group specializes in Medicare, health, and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357, or email to evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Evan is licensed in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, watch the interview on YouTube as well. And coming soon, the Mike Wagner Show will be on TLBTV.com. You can catch the Mike Wagner Show at the Liberty Beacon TV Network.com. We're here with veteran actor Lee Paul, who started off in Brooklyn, went on to college in Marietta, Ohio, became worked in the oil patch in Williston, North Dakota, became an Air Force officer in King Salmon, Alaska. He was also in Reno in Tennessee and came to Hollywood since 1966, just covering a lot of shows. And another iconic TV series I want to talk about is Ironside. You appeared in a few episodes with Raymond Burr, so tell us about that and what's it like working with Raymond Burr?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, but since publicity is what this is all about, I'd like to permission just to tell people about the book. My book, which is called Bitch, Pitch, and Get Rich.
I was just going to talk about that. Yeah, so go ahead anyway.
Okay, I'll just mention it because it's an important book, because it says that everybody bitches about everything, but few people do anything about it. And this little book, this self-help book, self-improvement book, which you can get on Amazon, and you can also get a free chapter to read it to see if you see the value in it, says that if you bitch about something, you owe it to yourself and to your loved ones to try to pitch a better idea. And even if the idea is bad, you're going to enrich your life by getting involved. So the point is that it's a book that helps you develop your vocabulary, your memory, which mine seems to fail every once in a while. Getting the courage to stand on your 2 feet and say what you believe in, and fight for your own individuality. So that's just that book, and I hope that people will take a moment and check it out on Amazon. Now, you mentioned Raymond Burr, and you mentioned Ironside. I did a few of them, but the one that's kind of stuck in my mind is the one with Jodie Foster. I just mentioned that to you before we went on air. She was 11 or 12. She was brilliant. She knew everybody's dialogue, including my own. And again, I played a kind of a retarded, big, oafish friend of hers. And I'm accused of murder, but I didn't do it. It's kind of convoluted. But an interesting side story to that is Rod Serling, who wrote Twilight Zone, had a small part in the film in that episode as well, which was sort of interesting. Now, Raymond Burr had done so many shows and was so adept, he would do his close-ups on different shows, one right after another. Sometimes he wasn't. The rest of the cast wasn't even there. The camera was just on him. The script supervisor would read the character's dialogue that he was involved with that show, and he'd give the response and go back and forth. And then they say next. He'd change his outfit, come back out, do another show, and that was truly amazing. I did not have that much interaction with Raymond Burr on the one that I did with Bubble Bubble Toil and Murder, because he was either away or ill, and it gave the other 2 stars a chance to show their talent, and therefore, again, because of my brother and his problems, I came up with a performance that got this kind of response. I got mail from across the country, and this is the truth, from people saying they were so happy that somebody with a mental disability was given a chance to be in show business.
Wow, that is something. And, of course, whatever the shows you've been in that involved a major breakthrough or just simply something you play out of character, just something experimental. So let's get into some TV shows and movies where it's like, it stood for a cause, or, someone with mental disabilities and just making a stand or something, or, just something that you've never done before and you succeeded. Maybe just give us a few movies or some TV shows.
Well, I'm trying to remember, but that just brings in back to the actors who want to be actors. And it's great to have stories and talk about stars, and I was lucky to work with some very big, beautiful stars. But the truth is, as a performer, you have to try to be a great observer of life. And in my case, it was my brother in that aspect. But you got to be an observer. You got to not only communicate, you not only have to talk, but you have to listen. And you've got to look about everything about you. Everything around you is of interest. How people walk, how they stand, how they slouch, how they stutter or don't stutter. All these things are life. And that my new agent, I don't even know if you're so far away from us, but I'm just signed with an agency called the Brogan Agency here in Los Angeles. And she just asked me, she said, well, tell me about yourself, because they actually found me after 30 years of on-camera exposure. And I said, well, for the first 25 years, I was acting. And for the next 25 years, I was learning about life, learning about living, learning about people, learning to be a better observer, a better experienced living human being. And that's what we need to do. You know what's happened to technology today? People text each other across the table. It's terrible. We've lost the ability, or we're losing the ability to look at each other one-on-one and actually communicate. That's why my book, Bitch, Pitch, and Get Rich, is important, because we've got to get back to talking to each other. Right now, we're talking to each other through the airwaves. But when we meet with people, in fact, I'll tell you one quick story. I just bought something, and it was from a guy in Romania, and he said, I said, the same thing. We're becoming so dependent on technology, we've lost the ability. He said, I'll tell you what we do. Our friends get together once a week for dinner, and the first person that takes out his cell phone pays the bill.
I heard something about that. It was on Facebook. I love it.
And that is what we need to do. We need to start talking to each other again. We could solve a lot of the world's problems if we would just talk and listen, not talk,
or tweet,
Twitter,
tweet.
Or tweet, which is what we're going on right now.
Right, yeah, and that's something I personally don't use. And, of course, the leader of the country just tweets on everything, which, way back when, it's like, the presidents before, they kept the tweets to themselves, thoughts themselves, and everything else, unless memoirs come out. And I'm going to share a story as well, too, talking about, why it's important to talk to each other. And I'll share a story before we get into the next question as well, too, that I took my family out to a nice Mexican restaurant in Dickinson, North Dakota, and my wife Serena just simply said, "Hey, let's try this restaurant." And I said, "Okay." We come on in. We're greeted by a singing waiter, a singing greeter from Los Angeles, and said, "Hello, how you doing?" He grew up in Mexico, and he was talking away 5-10 minutes before he finally gets seated. Look at the menu, and here he comes, taking the order, and he's singing and serenading and telling jokes and stories, and exclusively our table. And I'm like, what's up with this? The food is great, but, we're talking away. He says, the reason why I love talking to you is because you're not on your phones, and if I see anybody on their phone, I just pass by. And I think that's a great story. I tell everybody. It's like once you're at a restaurant, put the phones away. And I think that's a great testament, I'll tell you.
Absolutely. Good story.
Yes, it is. That's right. And of course, had your stories and everything else of being in showbiz. And who would you say was your favorite, movie star, artist, or a TV show or a movie growing up in Brooklyn?
Oh, those are the stories. Oh my God, we're going to need another 4 or 5 days. But when I grew up in,
that's perfect.
When I grew up in. When I grew up in Brooklyn, my mother used to take me as a youngster, 7, 8 years old, to a little hole-in-the-wall theater called the Pineapple Theater, and they would run films. And I remember watching, like, Randolph Scott, in a Western. And my mother would sit there and be crying because of the very simplistic story of, man meets girl, man gets girl, man loses girl. And I would always remember me as a little kid saying, Ma, stop crying, Ma. You're embarrassing me. Stop it. Well, now as I'm getting in the twilight of my years, having a good cry is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Having the emotions come out and let yourself be free. A lot of the men today feel that if they're not stoic and won't show emotion, that it makes them more of a man. And I believe that's not the truth. I think it's the antithesis of the truth. I think if we have emotions, we should let them flow freely. express our sensitivities, because it's not all fists and guns. It's it's understanding butterflies and roses and the wind and caring for something and somebody.